Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. And in this tutorial we're going to continue the tutorial about parametrics or constraints. And I'm going to show you what the whole idea is behind of these panels right here. Side panels, doors, bottom and top, and the rear panel. So I will see you guys right after the intro. Welcome back guys. So now here we have the drawing we was working on, and I copied the panels with its constraints. So they're already constrained, and if you don't know how to constrain or what they are about exactly, I suggest you watch part 1. There you can see what the whole idea is behind constraining your panels. Now here we had some extra constraint made, like making sure that this one is center with this one. So making sure the center is the same, and also here that it is the same also in this direction. So let me show you the example. This was the example already made. And let's see what I did right here. So if I put on all of my uh, parametric parameters, here you can see a lot of parameters, but it's basically a couple of things that I did to make sure that everything works correctly. Like these little things, it's very handy. So now let us go back to our working project, basically. And there are a couple um, parametrics that I need to make this complete. Now, first of all, let us go to these detail. This is actually a block. So right here, we have this block right here. So you can see it's a block. So this will always remain the same. This does not need any parameters or parameters to remain the same, or basically this is just a fixed thing. Um, Let me see what else do I have here. And here we have a couple details like this part right here. And we have a next detail that is this right here. So that is this right here. So detail A and B. And my dimensions are already set. So that will help us to set our dimensions parameters to make our life a little more easier. So now let us get into this. Now, first of all, I want to make sure, as you can see, the thickness will always remain the same. So here we have set our thickness. Actually, this, mm, let us just not set it. That we just use the equal param parameter, which is just equal to each other, and also basically equal to 18, which is our panel thickness, and that is also equal to this line right here. So that saved us a little bit of time. Now, as you can see, it was not 18 before. Well, actually, it's now 15. So make sure you have that set properly. As you can see, this was not set properly. So we still have to do a little bit of constraining here. Well, this one is 18. That is why, as you can see here, this one is 18. No, I don't want it to be 18. So this one is D11. So D11 is this one right here. So D11 has to be equal to thickness. So you can just copy paste this one and set it to the thickness. And this right here, we have to just drag it down. And here we have our perpendicular problem. So this have to just remain 18 degrees. 90 degrees, sorry, and also this right here should also be 90 degrees to this one. There's always a problem. Make sure, guys, that first of all, something is constrained or so let us just lock, first of all, this corner or the line and then make it perpendicular. So right here, perpendicular, and one more time here, perpendicular. This is also has to be perpendicular, perpendicular. Basically, the whole thing have to just be on the 90 degree. And there we have it. I think it should be good. And the reason why this has become 15 instead of 18 is because, of course, my thickness is not set to 18, but it's set to 15. Let us go back to 18. And there we have it. Okay, so let us get into the parameters, how we set our parameters. And here we can see our groove, first of all, is 9 millimeters wide. And the reason why it is 9 millimeters is because my back panel is actually 8 millimeters. So we have a spacing of a couple of millimeters, which is just 1 millimeter. And then we have our distance of 10 and the depth of 7 millimeters. So let us make some users parameters. First of all, we have this called this one groove underscore. Always use or capital letters, small letters, or underscore. But you cannot use space. It won't work. It will give you an error. As you can see, you cannot use any spaces or exceed the characters of 256 characters. And also the names cannot begin with a number. So as you can see, there are rules when it comes to this. So I just like using underscore. So first of all, we have the groove depth, the groove um, thickness, and we have also the groove, I'll just call it distance from the back. I like to work neat, so I make sure everything is capital when I'm starting with a new word. Okay, that was one. And then here we have, well, actually, this will always remain the same. It will always be the same block. So this right here, we do not have to set any parameters because this will always remain the same. The only thing what is different is this right here, which is the opening. It's supposed to be 8 millimeters always, and the distance, which is 8 millimeters also. So now, again, we have to make some parameters. Sorry, the distance is 10 right here. And the groove thickness is, yeah, it's actually a panel distance of thickness plus 1 millimeter. So, what do we want to do? Let me just set it to 9 for now for this tutorial, but you can also make this also dynamic. The depth is 7 millimeters. So this is our set values. And now let us go into, let's see, this right here, which is our minifix. So minifix underscore, what do we call this? Minifix diameter. Now I said it was 8, but actually the diameter is not the diameter of the minifix itself, but just the pen that is going in the panel. So the diameter is not 8, but 5, because the pin right here, or the pen that goes into this hole, is not 8 also, but it is 5. So the diameter is 5, but its distance, minifix distance is um, from the top, actually the distance from the thickness of the panel, so distance 1, because we have two different distances, and this one is 8. And then we also have a minifix distance 2 underscore distance 2. And what the distance 2 is right here. So we have a distance from the back. Actually, we just call it back. And then this one could just be called distance. And then we have also distance between the minifixes. So this one is a minifix back, or the distance from the back. And we also need a minifix heart to heart. So heart or center to center. So let we call it center to center. It's a quick abbreviation. And what do I want the center to center to be? Well, right now in this example it is 150, but let me see. I want it to always be 75 from the back. So it will always have to be 75, first of all. So it will be then the depth of my cabinet minus 75 minus, let's just say 50 from the front, or yeah, 50. Just let me just make it simple, 50. And since I have 3 of them, I want to divide it by 2. So what is the value? The value is 62.5. Okay, because the depth right now is 450. So this is the value. So that is my minifix center to center. Or you could just make it a fixed value, and then you will just have to change it manually. In this example, I think I want to just change it manually. So let's just make it 150. But as I said, you can make it also a dynamic value. Okay, I think these are the most important parts. I don't think I need anything else. I think that would be enough for now. Let us see. And right here we have our distance. That is 50 millimeters. So we need to remember this one. So this one I will call handle. You can also rename your dimensional constraints parameters. It is not very smart to do it this way, but just to avoid too much parameters in my list of parameters, I'll just change this one right here. So handle distance, and then we have our handle center to center, or the center point to center point. Okay. So that was basically the first step. Now here we also have other issue, because we also need this measurement. And this is the distance of my door, or how to call that. I know what it's called in Dutch, but I don't know what it's called in English. Let me just call it, what should we call it? A name so that we can remember this next time. Let's just call it edge or so. Yeah, just edge. Yeah, it's not really the correct name. I know that, guys. I'm positive it's not that, but let me just call it edge for now. So I think those were the most important parts, and yeah, that's basically it. So now that we have those dimensions set, now we can go ahead and make sure that when we change the the depth or the height or the width, whatever we are changing, that it will be possible to change all of this at the same time so that we don't have to do any manual changes, that AutoCAD just calculates all the measurements we need and everything is great. That is actually the power of working parameters. Second of all, I want to also make sure that this line always remains the same distance from here. So yeah, doesn't really matter as long as it's the same distance, because when we're working with things getting bigger and smaller, a lot of time what happens that things does not look good anymore because it is out of range, or this line remains there and then this panel is all the way over here. That is also the same for this part. Make sure you, so this I want to have a distance of 500, so that when I'm basically when everything start moving around, the distance between these two panels remains the same. And as I said, you just click on this one. Now 500 maybe is a bit much because the distance, let me just put it at 300. Yeah, it don't have to be that super much. The door the same. I will just make that also at 300. Okay, that was, and of course the top and the bottom. To give it some spacing. This one is 200. Let's do this again. This one would also be 200. Nice. So now we have a couple of constraints made. Now let us go ahead and start to avoid all of this confusion, all of this right here. Let us just go ahead and make this take off this, yeah, this dimension, to make my drawing a little more bearable to deal with. Because after we have done all of those parameters and set all those parameters, it become very chaotic. So first of all, let us work with our groove. Let's start with our groove. So to make sure our groove remains the same as the detail, the back, remember, groove in the back. Let's see, groove in the back, or groove distance it was, yeah, groove distance. So we have to go ahead and type, or you can just press enter and then look for it on the list. This is D16, and then just copy and paste it right here. Groove distance would be then D16 will be then group distance. I will do the same right here. Groove distance. Cool, that is working properly. I saw Minifix on the back. I wanted to be on 75. Remember, it was 75. That was about it. So now, since I've did our groove distance, now we have to do also a groove thickness. So right here we have our groove thickness, and I want this to be groove underscore thickness. Okay, as you can see, it is 9, so it will make it 9 also. And here we have the same. Or you can just click on this one right here and it will make it to the same. Even though I don't like it to work like this, because then it's too much linking to a different one. So when you watch the list, it's too much linked to a different dimensions. So I rather it to be groove thickness for all. So when I'm looking on my expression list, I can see where it is linked to in one one time without I having to be guess like linking to other dimensions. Instead of linking to other dimensions, I want to see it all in a line. If it is a dimension that is not really like very important, like this one right here is just a distance, that make sure this distance is the same, okay, that I will never look back on that, so I could just say it is 300. But if it's unimportant or uses parameter, if I'm linking it to a user parameter, it's better to actually express user parameter in your expression column. Okay, so I did my groove. Oh no, I'm gonna groove here also. Make sure you do it all over the same. I rather just set my parameters and then go ahead and link the expressions. Yes, I want to change it. So here we can see D22. So here we can check on the list D22. As you can see, it also makes them alphabetic in basically in order in numbers. So the groove 22 is a thickness. So go ahead and look for 22. That's thickness. And I'm sure 21 is also the thickness because it was 9 also. My distance would be 10. So that is D20 or D23. And D20, I'm sure, is also the distance. And there we have it. We have this now constrained properly. And now we go over to my mini fixes. And my mini fixes are actually basically the same. You go ahead and you set your parameters. Okay, after they're set, there's 24, 25, and 26. So this one is the distance on the back. So then you go into your parameters, managers tab, and you go to from the back and you copy paste the minifix back, or you can just type it if you want. And the center to center, make sure you add that there. And that is how you constrain your minifixes. Also, you would have to do the same thing here, because this one, I think I have made this all equal. Yes, I have. So even if I have made this all equal, so all I have to do is just set my parameters to one of them, and then they will all be the same. As you can see, they are all the same. So make sure it's a center or a diameter parameter. And that's basically it. So my diameter here, you can see is a diameter for center. And here we have my minifix diameter, which is this right here. And since we use constraints to make these equal, I don't have to go ahead and make each and every one, add parameters to each and every one, but just one, and they will make it equal to all. Okay, so now we go ahead, and this is the next thing. To make these two objects, let's see, in the same line. That is only the only thing I find so weird in AutoCAD. You cannot make it the center points in the same line. I don't know why, but I think that's very weird actually. It's supposed to be able to make center or this center point the same horizontal to this center point. But unfortunately, that's not the case in AutoCAD. Don't know why, because that is the case in Inventor. So we would just have to make them all one by one. And this would be the distance from my center point or my center of my pen, the Minifix pen, to the end of the panel. So since my basically how I design it is the bottom panel have to be a distance of 1 millimeter to the bottom. So when you're actually watching the cabinet from the front, the panel to the bottom is 1 millimeter higher than your side panel so that you don't have any visible edges on the outside. So instead of this being 8 millimeters, because remember the distance was 8, I want it to be the 8 millimeters plus, let's go to the parameter 27 plus 1. So basically, it would be that expression for all of them, and you would have to do the same thing for all the other holes. So I would just do this one as an example. Now let us go ahead and also set the distances from the back and center to center, which is very important, of course. Now let us go ahead. This is 30, 31, 32. So let us start with Minifix on the back. So 30 and Minifix center to center, which is 150. Okay, so that is it. Now we have, of course, the depth of my cabinet right here, and of course also the height of my cabinet. So let us go ahead, and that's 33 and 35. So we have our depth, which is 33, and we have also a height, which is 34. Perfect. So as you can see, this one also goes along and did it for me. This did not move because you have to make sure you set your parameters from the side, of course. And it did everything from the top go down. So that is important, of course. And here we have our rear panel, and our rear panel, of course, is not the height of the, it's not the same height as the of the cabinet itself, but it has a different height. So let us go into this and let's see how we will calculate it. The depth of my groove is 7. So the panel has to be the width, my, the total width minus, let us see how much it is, a little bit calculations, minus 12. So we'll have a spacing of 1 millimeter from this side and 1 millimeter from the other side. So it'll be minus 24. So that's the width minus 24. So let us go into my, again, my panel here. So 35 and 36 would be then, first of all, we have the height for 35. 35 would be then the height minus 24. And the other one will be the width minus 24. There we have it. As you can see, it's so very, it's the same. Now, I do not like the fact that this one is not perpendicular to this one, so I will make it the same. Now let us just hide some of these lines, hide some of these parameters. And now, of course, this one would be then sorry, this one would be then D37 would be then the width. Let's just copy this one right here. Minus the thickness of my panel. Minus the thickness of a panel once more. And there we have it. 2 times the thickness is then the width, which is, let's see, the width is now 600 minus 2 times the thickness, which is 600 minus 18 minus 18, so minus 36, which equals, of course, 564. So this is correct. And this one is the same. So this one is lined up to this one, and this line is lined up to this one. So when this changes, this one changes also. So there's no need to, again, do the same parameters here because this will be the same. Now that I did this, also you would have to do it for the depth. That's D38. So D38 will be then the depth minus 1 millimeter. Because again, just like the panel to the bottom, I don't want the side to be seen on the front of my cabinet. The back is not really important because the back is always the back. You don't see really much back. But the front and the sides is very important. Just in case the machines don't cut it exactly the millimeter how it's supposed to be. So I think that was basically it, guys. Now the same, of course, you would have to do for this part right here. My handle, make sure you do it for your handle. And the same you would have to do, of course, for your door, which is just, let us just do the door because it's something different. And the height of my door. Oh, I did not press enter. Okay. So now this need to remain here. And I think I already did this right here. Yeah, I did the distance already. Okay, so let us show what I'm gonna show this one and this one. Okay, so we have to also show 39. Oh, sorry. Okay, so 39 is actually the one here. I just not why it is not showing. Show. Select object. Yes, show. Okay, now we just select objects here then. No. Okay, it does not want to show. Okay, so 39 is actually the width of my door. And the width of my door is, of course, the 2.5 here minus the 2.5 here, which is called edge. So here we have the width of my cabinet minus the edge, minus the edge 2 times. That would be then the width of my door. And the same will be for the height of my door, which is just the height minus the edge 2 times. So that would be 595. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Let's go back, guys. Sorry. It's D40, not D4. A serious mistake. The parent cannot be evaluated. Why not? Did I spell height wrong? Yep. Okay. So that is, there we have it. So that's the height. And of course you have to make sure you also add parameters for your hinges. So the parameters for my hinges, you would also have to add that to it. And of course the holes for my hinges also right here and also right here. And that is also for the other side. Make sure you add that also. And of course the distance from here to here plus the edge, that would be the center of this, minus 32, because I think the center to center would have to be 32. So also you would have to add some parameters for your hinges. And that would be center to center from hinge distance, and of course the edge from the edge of your door and your panel. So when you're done doing all of this, guys, then you have this whole bunch of parameters set. It looks very crazy, but it is very handy. So if I hide all, here I forgot to do my hinges, guys, but it's okay. I will add them later on. So here we have, let me see. I don't think I added any parameters for my hinges, but you would have to add, of course, parameters for your hinges. Rather is, I think I did. Oh yeah, it did. It's called Hinge. As you can see, it is 60 from my door. But of course, way here, your hinges on your panel will be different than on your doors, because remember you have to add on also a couple of millimeters from the top and the bottom. That also you have to add to it. And now for the end result, let us just go into again to test it out. So my depth will be, let's make this 600, and the center to center minifix, I'll make that to 200. And you see it changes all over. So it changes here, changes here, changes here. So when you have your drawing, the handle is not working very properly right now. I think I hadn't added any kind of constraints to it, but ignore that for now, guys. And now if I go into my drawing, and of course you have to make sure that everything is within your viewport. So let us, it is loading right now my parameters right here to my left. So let us just wait that it's finished loading all my parameters, because I am now in my model space. Okay. So let us go ahead and move this down. That's so crazy that my handle is not working properly. And go into my model space again. My handle is not constrained properly, so I will go, sorry guys, it's kind of lagging right now. It is loading all my parameters. As you can see, the sidebar is getting smaller and smaller. Okay, it is done now. So here we have a little problem with this part right here, so I'm just going to delete it for now, because I show you guys have the drift by now. And these dimensions is crazy. Now let us try this again. I'm missing my handle, guys, so just remember that, keep that in mind. Here I did it properly. I made sure it was properly done on this one, or I can just copy this one and copy and paste it here. And it remembers all my constraint that I already made. So all I gotta do is constrain this part to this part and add my parameters how I want it to be. So this one will be 50, remember that. And the distance between the center to center would be 196. Oh, it's already constrained to 196. Perfect. I remember that also. So if I want to hide all, now I can just go ahead. Oh, sorry. That was our practice part, practice drawing. Now I can go ahead and go into my pay-per-view. And here we have it, guys. Actually, this is on the wrong side. It's supposed to be a right. Oh no. Sorry again, guys. It is again learning all my parameters. That is why avoid having to set parameters for every single thing. Use as much as possible the geometric, your constraints, so that you don't have to, every time anything you do, it would have to load those things for you. So here we can see our end result. So then when you are for production or whatever it is, whatever company you have, you can then by changing your parameters, this will automatically be generated, and then you will always know it will be correct, the right measurements, and you won't have to go in and change everything one by one and risk forgetting anything, and then your panel is off compared to the other stuff, and then it won't fit. So that was it now for guys. That was part 2 of your parametric or parametric tab, and I hope you learned something. This is very handy. This is a very powerful tool. It will help you save a lot of time. It's just up to you how smart do you want to make it, how much intelligence you want to set into this, so that when you change one value, that everything gets updated with its whole calculation behind the scenes in AutoCAD. But I will recommend to use this, and it will save you a lot of time and a lot of stress. Believe me, when you're trying to stretch everything and a bunch of lines within all these lines, and by using your constraints and your dimensional parameters, it is very handy and it's very fast, and yeah, it will help you. So just practice this and try make it a habit to use these things, and of course the more you use it, the more easy it gets. So I really recommend it. And bye for now, guys, and I will see you in my next video.